Welcome to Study English Daily with us. Today, we embark on a magnificent journey through the entire history of the French nation. France is a land of diverse geography, shaped by massive mountains and vast coastlines that have defined its destiny for centuries. Long before borders were drawn, early humans roamed these lands, living as hunter-gatherers in a world dominated by wild nature. They left behind mysterious artistic masterpieces in the Lascaux caves, proving that culture and expression existed here thousands of years ago. By the Iron Age, the Celts, known as Gauls, established a complex society of tribes, warriors, and skilled metal workers across the region. Their spiritual leaders, the Druids, held immense power, serving as judges and priests who maintained the oral traditions of their people. However, the rising power of Rome looked north, and Julius Caesar launched a brutal military campaign to conquer the Gallic tribes. Despite heroic resistance led by Vercingetorix, the Gauls were defeated at Alesia, marking the beginning of Roman rule over the land. Gaul became a Roman province, adopting Latin culture, stone architecture, and legal systems that would shape the foundation of French civilization. Cities like Lyon flourished as trade hubs, blending Gallic traditions with Roman sophistication to create the unique Gallo-Roman culture and identity. Centuries later, the Roman Empire began to crumble, leaving the region vulnerable to waves of migrating Germanic tribes from the east. Among these invaders were the Franks, who would eventually give their name to the country and establish a new ruling order. King Clovis united the Frankish tribes and made a historic decision to convert to Christianity, aligning himself with the powerful church. Clovis chose Paris as his capital, laying the groundwork for the Merovingian dynasty and the future political center of the kingdom. Over time, royal power faded and effective control passed to the mayors of the palace, leading to the rise of Charles Martel. Charles Martel famously defeated an invading army at the Battle of Tours, a victory that halted the advance into Western Europe. His grandson, Charlemagne, became a legendary ruler who expanded the kingdom into an empire that covered much of Western and Central Europe. In the year 800, the Pope crowned Charlemagne as Emperor of the Romans, symbolizing a revived unity in the West. Charlemagne promoted education and art, sparking a cultural revival known as the Carolingian Renaissance, preserving knowledge for future generations to study. After his death, the vast empire was divided among his grandsons by the Treaty of Verdun, creating the precursor to France. The fractured kingdom faced new threats as Viking raiders sailed up rivers, plundering cities and challenging the authority of the kings. Amid instability, nobles elected Hugh Capet as king, establishing the Capetian dynasty, which would slowly centralize power in Paris again. France became a feudal society, where powerful lords ruled over lands and peasants from their stone castles, often ignoring the king. In 1066, William, the Duke of Normandy, conquered England, creating a complex link between the French and English royal families. French knights played a leading role in the Crusades, traveling thousands of miles to fight in the Holy Land for religion. King Philip Augustus transformed France by defeating rivals and building the Louvre fortress to protect his growing capital city of Paris. This era also saw the rise of Gothic architecture and the founding of the University of Paris, a center of learning. Louis IX, later Saint Louis, was known for his piety and justice, often settling disputes personally among his people. A succession crisis triggered the Hundred Years' War, a devastating conflict between England and France for control of the French throne. Early battles like Cressy were disasters for France, as English longbowmen decimated the traditional French heavy cavalry on the muddy fields. Misery deepened as the Black Death swept through the country, killing a large portion of the population and halting the war. France was torn apart not just by invaders, but by civil war between rival noble factions fighting for influence and power. In this darkest hour, a peasant girl named Joan of Arc appeared, claiming divine guidance to save France from English conquest. She inspired the demoralized troops and led them to a miraculous victory at the Siege of Orleans, turning the war's tide. Joan fulfilled her mission by seeing Charles VII crowned at Reims, legitimizing his rule before her tragic capture and execution. Inspired by her sacrifice, the French army eventually drove the English out, ending the 100 Years' War and unifying the nation. King Louis XI, known as the Spider King, cunningly maneuvered to annex Burgundy and solidify the borders of modern France. Peace allowed culture to bloom, and the Italian wars brought the art and ideas of the Renaissance back to French soil. King Francis I was a great patron of the arts, even inviting Leonardo da Vinci to live and work in France. He commissioned grand chateaux like Chambord, showcasing the brilliance of French Renaissance architecture and the wealth of the French monarchy. However, the Reformation brought division as Protestant ideas spread, leading to tension between the Catholic majority and the Huguenot minority. These tensions exploded into the wars of religion, culminating in the tragic St. Bartholomew's Day massacre that shook the entire nation. Henry IV restored peace by signing the Edict of Nantes, granting religious tolerance and famously declaring Paris is worth a mass. Under Louis XIII, Cardinal Richelieu worked ruthlessly to centralize power, crushing noble resistance and strengthening the authority of the state. Richelieu also founded the Académie Française, an institution created to standardize the French language that still exists to this day. Louis XIV ascended to the throne as a child, but he would grow to become the absolute embodiment of royal power. Known as the Sun King, he famously declared, "I am the state," ruling without a prime minister and controlling every detail. He transformed a hunting lodge into the Palace of Versailles, a symbol of absolute monarchy and the envy of every European king. Nobles were required to live at Versailles, distracted by elaborate rituals and parties so they could not plot against the king. Under his reign, France became the dominant military and cultural power in Europe, setting trends in fashion, art, and diplomacy. However, he revoked the Edict of Nantes, forcing thousands of skilled Protestants to flee, which hurt the French economy significantly. Constant wars and the cost of Versailles left the treasury empty, creating a burden of debt for his successors to manage. The 18th century brought the Enlightenment, where thinkers like Voltaire and Rousseau challenged tradition and championed reason, liberty, and equality. King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette ascended to the throne, inheriting a nation in financial crisis and social unrest. France supported the American Revolution against Britain, a victory for liberty that ironically bankrupted the French monarchy and inspired revolt. Bad harvests and high taxes caused famine, leading to anger among the common people who watched the royals live in luxury. The king called the Estates General to fix the tax system, but the political deadlock only fueled the desire for radical change. Defying the king, the representatives took the famous tennis court oath, vowing not to disband until they had written a constitution. On July 14, 1789, the people stormed the Bastille prison, a violent event that marked the beginning of the revolution. The revolutionaries published the Declaration of the Rights of Man, proclaiming that all men are born and remain free and equal. Desperate for food, thousands of women marched to Versailles, forcing the king and queen to return to Paris under house arrest. The royal family attempted to flee France in disguise, but were captured, shattering the people's trust and sealing their tragic fate. The monarchy was abolished, and Louis XVI was tried for treason and executed by guillotine, shocking all the monarchs of Europe. The revolution turned bloody during the Reign of Terror led by Robespierre, where thousands were executed for being suspected enemies. Eventually, the people turned against the violence. Robespierre himself was executed, ending the terror and leading to a more unstable government. Amidst the chaos, a brilliant young general named Napoleon Bonaparte rose to fame through a series of stunning military victories abroad. In 1799, Napoleon staged a coup, seizing control of the government and promising to restore order and glory to France. He introduced the Napoleonic Code, a modern legal system that established equality before the law and influenced legal systems worldwide. In 1800, Napoleon crowned himself emperor, signaling that his power came from his own achievements, not the church. His military genius reached its peak at the Battle of Austerlitz, where he defeated rival empires and redrew the map of Europe. However, his ambition led to a disastrous invasion of Russia, where the freezing winter destroyed his grand army and weakened his rule. Defeated by a coalition of European powers, Napoleon was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the small island of Elba. He made a dramatic return for 100 days, rallying his troops for one final attempt to reclaim his lost empire. At the Battle of Waterloo, he met his final defeat against the British and Prussians, ending the Napoleonic Wars forever. Exiled to the remote island of St. Helena, he spent his final years writing memoirs that would cement his legendary status. The Bourbon monarchy was restored, but France had changed forever. The ideas of liberty and equality could not be erased. Unrest continued, leading to the July Revolution of 1830, which replaced the conservative king with a more liberal constitutional monarch. This era inspired great writers like Victor Hugo, who captured the struggles and spirit of the French people in masterpieces like Les Misérables. In 1848, another revolution swept away the monarchy, establishing the Second Republic and introducing universal male suffrage. Louis Napoleon, nephew of the great emperor, seized power to become Napoleon III, launching the Second Empire and modernizing France. He commissioned Baron Haussmann to rebuild Paris, creating the wide boulevards, parks, and iconic architecture that define the city today. The empire collapsed during the Franco-Prussian War, a humiliating defeat that led to the capture of the emperor himself. In the aftermath, the radical Paris Commune seized the capital briefly before being brutally suppressed by the French army. Out of this chaos emerged the Third Republic, a democratic government that would bring stability and secular education to the nation. France entered the Belle Époque, a beautiful era of peace, prosperity, and innovation in arts, science, and entertainment. The Eiffel Tower was constructed for the World's Fair, standing as a controversial but bold symbol of French industrial prowess. Scientists like Marie Curie made groundbreaking discoveries in radioactivity, earning Nobel Prizes and showcasing French leadership in global science. Artists like Monet and Renoir revolutionized painting with Impressionism, capturing light and movement in ways the world had never seen. Meanwhile, France expanded its colonial empire across Africa and Asia, exporting its language and culture, but also imposing its rule. The peace of the Belle Époque was shattered in 1914 as complex alliances dragged France into the First World War. French soldiers, known as poilus, endured the horrors of trench warfare, defending their homeland against German invasion for 4 long years. The Battle of Verdun became a symbol of French determination, with the famous slogan, "They shall not pass," rallying the troops. France emerged victorious in 1918, but the victory came at a terrible cost of lives and a devastated landscape. The post-war years, known as the Crazy Years, saw a cultural explosion in Paris with jazz, surrealism, and artistic liberation. However, the Great Depression brought economic hardship and political polarization, weakening the Republic as the threat of war returned. In 1940, the German Blitzkrieg shocked the world, bypassing French defenses and forcing a rapid and humiliating surrender. Paris was occupied, and the country was divided between the German zone and the collaborationist Vichy regime in the south. General Charles de Gaulle refused to accept defeat, broadcasting from London and organizing the Free French forces to liberate their homeland. Inside France, the resistance network grew, sabotaging operations and gathering intelligence, risking their lives for freedom and dignity. On D-Day, Allied forces landed in Normandy, beginning the liberation of Western Europe with the help of the French resistance. Paris was liberated in August 1944, a moment of immense joy and national pride as de Gaulle marched triumphantly. Post-war France focused on reconstruction and social reforms, including giving women the right to vote under the Fourth Republic. However, the colonial empire began to crumble, leading to defeat in Indochina and a bloody independence war in Algeria. The Algerian crisis brought France to the brink of civil war, leading to the return of Charles de Gaulle to power. He established the Fifth Republic in 1958, creating a strong presidential system that provided stability and remains in place today. De Gaulle pursued an independent foreign policy, withdrawing from NATO command and developing nuclear weapons to ensure French sovereignty. In May 1968, massive student protests and strikes paralyzed the country, demanding social liberalization and challenging traditional authority. Despite the unrest, France continued to modernize, launching projects like the Concorde supersonic jet and the TGV high-speed train network. President François Mitterrand, the first socialist president of the Fifth Republic, commissioned grand modern architectural projects that transformed Paris. France played a crucial role in building the European Union, championing peace and economic cooperation with its former rival Germany. The adoption of the euro currency further integrated France into Europe, cementing its position as a central pillar of the continent. Today, France remains a global cultural icon, leading the world in luxury fashion, fine dining, and artistic innovation. It is the most visited country in the world, welcoming millions who come to admire its history, landscapes, and lifestyle. Modern France is a diverse, multicultural society facing new challenges of integration and identity in a rapidly changing globalized world. The nation is also a leader in environmental protection, hosting the historic Paris Agreement to combat global climate change. From the cave paintings of Lascaux to the bustling streets of modern Paris, the history of France is truly remarkable. It is a story of resilience and revolution, guided by the enduring values of liberty, equality, and fraternity for all. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to Study English Daily with us for more in-depth history documentaries and educational English content. Your support helps us continue creating high-quality stories that bring history and language learning together.